My name is Robert Hinton. I am a student at Laney College. I'm a journalism major. So we're covering this town hall meeting about opioid awareness for the Laney Tower, our Peralta School's student newspaper. And this was an important story to cover for me because I've personally been affected by the opioid crisis. I've lost several friends from high school to opioid addiction, and it's something that I really care a lot about, and I feel like the community needs to be aware of the issues that we face with the opioid crisis. And because of people like April, she's empowering us and giving us tools that we need to identify when abuse is going on and how to help our loved ones and our friends, and also just people within our society that may be going through it, whether that's, advice or help, with figuring out how to beat their addiction, but also administering life-saving drugs and procedures that can keep people from overdosing.
NCAPDA. We continue. I think one of the most important things is to reduce opioid prescribing levels. And that can be done two ways. It can be in either working directly with physicians and the prescribers per se, whether it's a nurse or whomever's doing the prescribing. And so I do that to whatever extent I can. But another way is for us to educate the public, and this is what I do the most of. It's to educate individual community members about how dangerous these medications can potentially be and how addictive they can potentially be, so that we call it the opioid demand curve is actually reduced. So when patients go in to see a doctor, they're not going in with the expectation that they're going to be prescribed opioids. They go in to have that conversation and to determine what other alternative methods of dealing with their pain there are, so that they can really do everything they can to avoid being an unwitting victim of the properties of these very powerful addictive substances. So that would be number one. The other thing would be to get into our schools, and especially starting with middle school and high school, we've got to educate our young people and their parents. I, as a parent, had no idea how dangerous and addictive these medications could be, and we lost our son as a result of that lack of awareness. I didn't educate him. The schools weren't educating him. So he's using medications that he really doesn't have the proper perspective of. And so I would say education is really absolutely critical at all levels. And I would even venture to say that we should probably start as early, as young as elementary school. Help little kids understand that candy and medicines can look almost identical, and not to just take something off the counter they see. If some adult has left medicine out on a counter and hasn't put it away properly, to be wary of anything they see like that it could be dangerous, and to not take drugs, candy, anything from anybody other than a parent or a trusted adult. So educating kids, making sure that they understand that decisions they make now could affect them for the rest of their lives. So education at all levels, adults and seniors as well, so there's no age group that doesn't need to be touched in some way with educational information.
Charles Cunningham. I am the chairperson for the Alameda County Consumers Affairs Commission, partnership with Alameda County Supervisors. I want to say that I really appreciate having April Rivera here, as I was speaking for the Coalition Against Prescription Drugs. It was very informative, and I feel that we should try our best to try to get it out more to our communities, the media, and other organizations, because it's important for one to know what opiate drugs are and how you can easily become addictive if you don't seek help as soon as possible. Please continue to support our efforts, because we need all the support we can get from all of the media and the communities from which they sustain. Thank you.
So it's those who are prescribed by a doctor, and you get hooked on stuff. And you may die immediately, or it may take years with an addiction that can happen any time. So look at the red zone, the deepest red. And the next one is the prescribing levels. What we want to see is more of the yellow. So I'm going to go back. Oops. So you can see more red here. That means more prescriptions. And as we move forward, we have more yellow and the kind of maize color. That means that we have fewer prescriptions. And that's a really good thing in 2017. And that's another reason we really think the deaths are going down, because we have fewer prescriptions going out the door. And so fewer people are getting hooked on this stuff, and we have a better opportunity to really save lives. So we need people in treatment, and then to stop it on the front end so people aren't getting hooked in the first place. So I showed you the numbers, but I want you to just take a quick look at this slide. I am personally connected with all of these folks. I've actually got now about 600 and probably close to 700 photos of people from around the country who've lost their lives. This makes it personal. Each one of these people, do they look like drug addicts? No. They could be anybody in the room. They could be any of our kids or grandkids. I've got 2 cases up here where we had, I'm going to just show you them. One mom or one family lost 2 kids. So these 2 boys are brothers, lost within a 2-year time frame. Same is the case for these guys here. I now know families that have lost 3 children. And I just got chills saying that, because I know how devastating it is to lose one precious child. I can't imagine surviving 2, 3. That's crazy. All to an overdose. I know 2 parents now who lost their 2 boys the very same day from overdoses. They were using together. They got a hold of them. They were using heroin. They've been using heroin, but they used heroin that particular day that was laced with fentanyl. And it doesn't take much fentanyl. It can be just a couple of specks, and you don't even know. You're getting this stuff on the street. You have no idea what's in your heroin. You don't even know what's in your cocaine anymore. Marijuana. Fentanyl showing up in all these drugs. So anyway, precious people. I have a video that I put together for the Fed Up Coalition that I work and do federal, nudging through. And the video has 650 people from last year, back up to that point. And the video is one photo after another. It takes us about 40 minutes with a 3-second look at each person to march through that entire video. This year, I'll be updating that for some events that are happening in Washington, D.C. that I'll share with you. And I'm certain I'll have at least 700 of them. I've got that many photos from people who have lost their loved ones. So it's personal. These are real people. They were vital people to a whole lot of loved ones, people who cared, immensely about them. The impact isn't just the mom and the dad. There's a big circle. Friends, teachers, doctors that cared for them, on and on. There are no boundaries. It can happen to anybody. It drives me nuts sometimes when I have a parent, as I'm speaking directly to, tell me, oh, my kid's fine. Really active in sports, good grades, That was my son too, okay? They're not necessarily protective factors. In fact, what I can share with you is that it can actually, in the case of athletes, be a bigger problem. We have high-performing students that stay awake all night on similar to it's a stimulant, so it'd be Adderall or Ritalin to stay awake all night to study, because they've got to get that 8+ on their grades. So I'm going to stop right now and attempt to play a video that I think is really important for you guys to see, that kind of brings this home. It can happen to anybody, okay? Give me a second to get the video up. This is about 13 minutes.
concerned about all these illegal drugs, the heroin, the marijuana, the meth. But you need to understand that the legal drugs are just as dangerous.
They're getting it from your neighbors, your friends. It's not hard at all.
If people are taking prescription drugs for non-medical purposes, they are not taking medicine. They're doing drugs.
It's easy to start, and it's painful to stop.
Prescription drugs are a prescription for a reason. If you take too many of a prescription narcotic, you die.
Chelsea was very well liked by her friends and by her teachers.
Ronnie was going down to Tennessee State to be the next player to come out of Tennessee State.
Joey was extremely popular, just surrounded by friends.
Mark was an athletic, fit-looking kid.
Aaron enjoyed talking and debating with any and all people.
The prescription pain pill problem is a huge epidemic.
This is an epidemic.
This is an epidemic that is infiltrated our young people.
We never had a conversation with Joey about prescription drugs because we truly had no idea that there was any kind of recreational use going on.
The first time I started doing painkillers was when I was 17.
I steal pills from my friend's mom. Her stepmom had script for Vicodin. That was like heaven. I went in her room and took Vicodin every day.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes, and he'd go in there and go to their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
These medications are available everywhere, in every socioeconomic environment.
Ronnie was a starting halfback, one of our best players. He had several scholarship offers.
Ronnie was very popular in the neighborhood.
Ronnie was a neat freak, clean freak, always had his hair braided. When he got into the pill use, his mood changed. He changed, like, was it Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
Ronnie's appearance really deteriorated, and it was really unlike him.
They said, "Are you doing drugs?" And my son looked at me with these eyes of, "How could you even think of that, Mom?"
I was walking up to football practice. My coach was walking towards me. He just had this crazy look on his face. He goes, "I think I might have found your brother." And I was like, to me, I was like goofing. I was like, I didn't know he went missing. So I was like trying to make him like goofing off. And he was like, "No, Justin, seriously, they might have found his body." And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "Whoa, what?" He's like, "Yeah, they discovered a body in an apartment in Telford."
I never thought my son would take prescription drugs without a prescription.
Parents often trip themselves up by asking a simple question: "Are you using drugs?" No. One has to be able to say, "I'm seeing some signs here that concern me."
He was a little bit more argumentative. We thought that was maybe hormones.
The person has what we call pinpoint pupils. Literally, the pupils look like a pinpoint.
She slept odd hours.
We didn't know why he was sleeping so late.
If I wasn't able to get high, then I didn't want to get out of bed because, the physical withdrawals.
We were missing tinfoil from the kitchen, missing spoons.
We'd find pens that were cut in half.
Straws. There were a lot of charges coming on the credit cards.
We thought that there was somebody stealing money out of her account.
That's probably a pretty good clue there's something going on. Joey was pretty upset with his roommates who were spending all their money on medication. Had I known that the medications that they were taking were so dangerous, I would have told them, you're not even going back to that place.
If you feel something's going on, you gotta investigate.
I thought it was just a phase. We already when we were in high school, and it's just sort of a phase you go through as you go experience life and grow out of it. And I thought he was on that track.
Joey had been found and he was unconscious. He had all these medications that he had just received from this doctor. More than likely, he crushed and snorted it. We're just being completely hit blindly by, a situation we had absolutely no understanding of and no notice of. And in the meantime, my husband's in the house. I'm out front in the front of the house, just wondering what we're dealing with here. And so finally, Joe just came out and said he's gone.
I was downstairs getting ready for work. Cookie told me she could meet Mark. Mark was powerful and had the nickname in some circles of Tank. I reminded her that what she had to do was get a cup of water and splash him with it and stay out of his way. And she told me it was different. We found a clear plastic bag with loose pills. I'm not sure if he even thought he was doing drugs, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's not like it was heroin or cocaine. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. A few minutes later, someone came in and told us that Mark was dead. We never thought that was a possibility.
I had no idea that kids were using this.
I came home one night, saw the basement light on, and went up to the window, and my son was crushing and storing the pills.
We would find pills in the shoes, in the jackets that are hanging in the closet, in the pockets.
I found some pills hidden under his cushion.
They were in his socks. I'd never checked my kid's socks.
He took the light switch plate off and put them in there.
Look everywhere. Is it an invasion? No. You're doing the right thing as a parent.
I would question Chelsea, and she would always assure me that everything's fine and nothing's wrong.
Kids don't want to get in trouble, so they're going to tell you exactly what you hear.
There was always something down deep inside that said to me, something's wrong. You doubt yourself because you wonder if you're making a bigger deal out of something.
You know, maybe deep down my parents knew that I was high.
You can't always believe your child. Their lies get bigger when they're trying to hide substance abuse.
I knew her inside and out, and I remember Chelsea as the little girl that she used to be.
I looked at him and I always saw the most beautiful son in the world.
It was very difficult to think that she would be lying to me, which she was. She was out using and abusing prescription drugs.
Long-acting agents like OxyContin are meant to be delivered in the body over a period of hours, if not a day. If they're chewed, crushed, and snorted, you get the entire dose in one blast, and if the body's not ready to accommodate that, you will stop breathing.
We needed to call the police. But what are the neighbors going to think?
Put all of that aside and focus on what's important, as difficult as it may be.
Families can't get too caught up in the idea that, there may be an arrest, charge of my son or daughter, they could be in jail, they could be in the morgue.
The law saved my life. If my mom hadn't called the cops on me, I don't know where I would be right now.
It was the most difficult thing to do, to call the police on your own child. It was horrible. I have gone from putting importance on things like what college are you going to get into to just celebrating the fact that she's alive today. She's doing very well. She's clean and sober. She's productive. She's sweet, and I have her back, and I'm thankful. And it's wonderful.
Aaron had spent the night at a friend's, and they found him, believe it or not, responsive. They took him to a local hospital.
He was using Vicodin, which we found out through his toxicology, what was in his blood system.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He had staph, he had pneumonia, he went through seizures. The doctor was explaining to us that he was going to die. We held his hands on each side, and we started crying, and he just laid there.
People use the medications in an abusive way, not knowing what the full consequences are, and somebody ends up here.
Within 24 hours, Aaron had opened his eyes.
Parents are the first line of defense in terms of prescription drug abuse.
You gotta sit your kids down. You just gotta tell them about the severity of the problem.
There's a number of steps that you can take.
Educate your child and yourself very early.
Anybody who feels that this can't happen to my child,
It could happen to your kid.
make sure that you don't have
have excess pills in your home.
Keep your medication locked up because you're never going to notice if something's not.
What my mom does is she has to take home P-tests that I gotta take. No, I want to keep my mom proud of me. I don't want to let her down.
You need to have the conversation with them about drug and substance abuse. And you need to include prescription drugs and guide them so they're able to get through their high school years and into college and through their college years drug-free.
Have this conversation before it's too late to have this conversation.
Back in 2012 to put this together, and it's still pertinent today, right? It's still a powerful film, I believe, and children are so we can show it in sessions like this. I want to emphasize, though, that what you saw in this film is only one side of this. It is, again, those that are recreationally using them. Maybe in the case of the young student that was an athlete, he got prescribed medication and got hooked on it. But bottom line is, this is kind of focused on kids, and I want to make sure you know that this happens to adults. In fact, we lose more people between the ages of 35 and 55 to overdose than young people. And that's a problem with them, but we'll say from 25 on, we're seeing more and more of our overdose deaths. So again, it can happen to anybody. I have a little section towards the end of my presentation that's actually going to talk about the elderly, because there are some special circumstances, I believe, around the seniors that we love and we want to keep healthy. All right, I'll just use this. Okay, so, okay, hold on.
Well, with organizations that April is instrumental in getting forward and having presentations for the community, but also federal dollars coming from the federal sector, and the $6 billion that we need is a good start, as April had highlighted, but she also said that we need $60 billion in order to overcome this crisis. So there's a long way to go, but I think because of people like April and because of communities that want to get together and talk about this, to bring it to the forefront and to allow people to know that this is something that not only affects families that have been hurt by opioid addiction, it affects us all. And through tax dollars, through crime, there are many different things that affect us all. So it's not something that is isolated to any one person. It affects us all, and we all need to be a part of it. So I'm happy to be here and reporting on this, and I'm happy to just make connections with the people that were also here, so that we continue to educate people and continue to shine awareness on this crisis.
Well, the easiest way to go about this would be to go on our website, which is www.ncapda.org. And once there, they can find out how to contact us by phone, by email. We have a lot of resources online. They can actually click on those resource links and go to powerful websites such as DEA, FDA, SAMHSA, on and on and on. We have a lot of really great resources. If they're interested in joining a coalition, they could join our coalition, or otherwise, we have the Alameda Meds Coalition, and we have the Contra Costa Meds Coalition. And again, we have links to those coalitions as well on our website. So that's the best place to go to learn more about volunteer opportunities or otherwise just learning more, educating themselves so they can educate their family members and friends. So we start to see less demand of these potentially dangerous pills, and we have people managing those that they need to take in a more effective way.
The Laney Tower, we publish every Friday. You can receive copies of the Laney Tower at any of our campuses. And we are always looking to encourage people to come to the journalism major, to take newspaper production, and actually write or take photos or contribute in whatever way people feel comfortable to the production of the Laney Tower. We not only like to highlight issues that happen within the Peralta properties and schools, but we also like to highlight and reach out to the community. For instance, this is why we are here at this event now, because what affects us in our community also affects us at Peralta schools, and it is a community college after all, and we support the community and the community supports us.
I really appreciated coming to this community. I haven't done a lot of work over in this area, and we continue to feel as though we need to expand beyond, the Contra Costa environment where we do so much of our work. So I do work closely with the East Bay Safe Prescribing Coalition as well as the Alameda Meds Coalition. And so that's a foot in the door, but this gave me an opportunity to reach an audience I normally wouldn't be able to share my information with, so I really appreciated being over here.
You can contact us through laney.edu, and our information is there for anyone that would like to get in touch with us. You can also get to laney.edu through Peralta schools. If you look at Peralta schools and you look at especially the majors, journalism is offered at Laney. And that's listed under there, and that will give you links to our department, and we can give you any information that you need.